East Hampton Village DRB, we are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the DRB. I called to order the Design Review Board for Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. The first item on our agenda are the minutes of November 21st. Are there any questions or corrections? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have that motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Cheryl. Thank you very much. And all in favor?
Aye.
Great. The next item on the agenda is 30 Park Place. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Yes. Can you just come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and tell us briefly what you would like to do?
Sure. My name's Jay Eastman, and the property we're talking about is on Main Street in East Hampton, which are the stores we have from Starbucks to Obligado back to the parking lot. What we call Building A, which you've seen in the materials, is the area that we want to redevelop. Some history: we've owned the property for 55 years as a family. My father came out here and taught sailing in the late 50s at Devon. I was born out here, and this is a property that's near and dear to our heart, and we take what we do with the property very seriously in terms of how we curate the portfolio, tenants we support. You'll remember the Wilsons had the toy store forever. We always like to support tenants until they decide to move on. Bookhampton is there because my father wanted a bookstore, and so how we think about curating the portfolio as we've seen more luxury and more money come to town is something we take seriously and we debate, internally as a family. The catalyst for this discussion was really about, I think East Hampton's at a bit of an inflection point, and I think there's this opportunity to bring wet use, potential restaurants, small restaurants, and also life to town, kind of like what we've seen in Sag Harbor over the last 30 years. And we saw Bob Berteni do it with Tutto Cafe. We did it recently on Newtown Lane with Camiso. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's so far, gotten off to a great start. And we had some septic issues, so that was kind of the catalyst to start. And then we just said, let's do the same thing for what we call East Hampton Square. About 18 months ago, we started working with the health department. We just were granted an easement by the village 10 days ago. It's being recorded with the village. So that was really what got this project going. I would say we're a little bit of a victim of project creep, because once we said we'll do that, then we started looking at drainage and ponding, some of the stuff going on in the alleyways around the building. We decided let's fix those things. My office is on the back side of the alley, and I looked out one day and it's 20 feet wide, and we said, why don't we activate this space and make it more community-centric, add some seating, add some planting. So we brought in Greg, who you hear from Bayview, and then Barry Rice from Rice Architects, both of whom are local, and they've been here for a long time, and I think are pretty sort of consistent and believe in the ethos of the town. So it's evolved into a much bigger project. It's something that we care about enormously. There's not a huge immediate return on investment. This is a long-term bet for us. This is not something where we invest these dollars, we flip rents up, and we try and jack rents. It's one of those ones where if we can curate the right portfolio, bring the right tenants into the mix, we think it's going to redound to the benefit of the town, and at the end of the day, the real estate for us. So I represent the family. I've run the property for a number of years. I just wanted to tee it up and let you know who I am and what we're up to, and I'll pass it off to Barry, the architect, and then Greg, who's going to do the landscape design. Of course, if there are questions about us and our backing of the property, please let me know. I think that the most important takeaway is we're a long-term player. I get an email or a call a week to buy this property. We get them by text, across the transom. We are a long-term player. This is going to be owned by the family the way it's set up for a long time. So that's why we're taking this long-term view.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks. My name is Barry Rice, architect. I've been a resident out here for 30 years. My wife and I have had a summer place, and now we're full-time in Bridgehampton. I'm very familiar with East Hampton, with the village. I've done a couple of projects over the years that required village approval on interesting landmark projects. So I'm very interested, and was very interested to be asked to join Jay in reimagining Building A on the property. So quickly, what I want to do is just run through which buildings we're talking about. This is the latest site survey, which we just received about a week ago. Main Street here, Starbucks is here.
Right.
The entrance to the alleyway that's called Eastman Way goes Starbucks through to the parking lot at the rear. This building here is Building A. It has Eastman Way. It has an alley here, which is underutilized. It's the 20-foot wide alleyway that Jay just mentioned, Jay's office is. That alleyway 1, we call it, and alleyway 2, which is the one that leads adjacent to the Govern's store and out to the parking lot, is the other alleyway we would like to activate. I think that historically what's happened with these alleyways is they're kind of incidental spaces. The lighting is dim, to be polite about it. There's no real activity for people who are shopping around here. And so Jay's vision is to activate this side of Building A as much as the parking lot side of Building A is activated with entrances to stores. Whether it's individual stores entered from either side or one store that goes all the way through, we want to see this space here and this space here used for activity, of course, through the daytime. Greg, with Bayview Landscaping, has come up with a very imaginative and inspired plan to introduce areas for seating for the general public, for seating areas for specific tenants that might be in here, for restaurants, etc., for places for dogs to be able to be watered, and for nighttime activity to take place. So part of this plan will be a nighttime illumination plan that is really just in a nascent form at the moment, but that's the intention. So moving on to what we have, just a reminder of what we're talking about here. These are the images. This is Eastman Way here with these bay windows that are rather small because the sills are very high. It's difficult to see into the stores. It's difficult to see what's being shown in the stores. So our approach to this building is to deal with the minimum amount of work to the exterior in order to open up the spaces and make them more friendly, user-friendly for people moving in and out of the retail spaces, but also more accessible to the open door spaces out here. So this is what we have existing. Eastman Way, Alley 1, Alley 2. In detail, what we would like to do is to take the bay windows, these bay windows here, and simply drop the sills down to increase the amount of glass into the store. We would also like to reconfigure the shape of these bay windows, keeping the same distance from the design that stick out a foot, so the new ones will stick out a foot, and add a bit more detail that's relates more to the traditional detailing of commercial storefronts throughout East Hampton, and also to improve access to the buildings by raising the heads of the doors to have a better door entrance, but also to raise the sidewalk so we have ADA access through to all of the retail elements of Building A. So what currently looks like this would start to look like this. We have some renderings which we will show you in a second. I just want to talk briefly about what we're doing with the windows. This kind of arrangement of windows with an order of size of panes of glass to provide detail or interest is a common thread of commercial buildings from mid-19th century, from Southampton through to East Hampton. So we've made a sort of a simple interpretation of the bay window, which would protrude from the face of the building. Our current thinking is these will be made of wood, that would be painted wood. We're going to reclad the building in a white shingle. We hope to steer away from the white and black look that's ubiquitous out here now, but to do something a little bit more nuanced with color of canopy, which would be green, and storefront, which would be a very dark green rather than a black. We're currently looking at mock-ups of the color palette for this, but this is the direction we're going in right now. The detail of the storefronts shown here shows in detail how we'll be handling the facade. We're replacing all of the gutters, we think, with copper gutters, a new fascia, and most importantly, with lighting in the eaves, the overhang of the roof, down lighting in the eaves, and also illumination of the storefronts that would be on a timer. So there would be light to make it a more attractive place to occupy at nighttime, and also a safer place to be. So more glass, lighting in the storefronts, similar to the area by the Ralph Lauren bar at nighttime. It's a very elegant way to light the space, is lighting the building and having that light overflow onto the space. So right now I'll hand over to Greg, landscape architect, who, and I'll just show you this one render which we've got. There's a series of these that will help Greg explain the landscaping. And this is from the parking lot looking back to Building A at nighttime. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Greg Moret. I'm a registered landscape architect, owner of Bayview Landscape Architecture. This is truly a thrilling project to be a part of. I've fortunately been enjoying the village for approximately 20 years. We have a home in Clearwater Beach. So truly through sort of being married, no children, having toddlers, using the playground and the park right in the village, to now having 13 to 16-year-olds and movies and restaurants, it's really almost surreal to be able to be, design a space like this, and one, frankly, as a landscape architect and having navigated for that long, so I've identified what an asset, a space like this could be. So really thrilled to be part of it. We'll get back to this. We have renderings really of all 4 areas, but I'll just show you in plan view first, and then flip to the rendering. So overview on this drawing, parking lot here. This is the Building A, the standalone building, currently Amber Wave, Starbucks, and then the Main Street stores. So the primary access point connecting, obviously, the Main Street looks like is Eastman Way. So after doing extensive analysis of sort of circulation patterns, the architecture that Mr. Rice has developed, and some of those additions, really felt that the addition of plant material as a step one was a significant sort of improvement to the space. It's now a bit sort of cold, so the addition of plant material will really be very important, and really maintaining Eastman Way as that circulation space. That's really the most heavily or traffic area for circulation, but then the space behind Building A really being something that could be a really respite for sort of weary shoppers. So we'll be able to show you more of that in the renderings. But the material which you're seeing here in this dark red would be the repetition of the brick pavement that is very typical throughout the village. We're certainly not looking to strike out in a new direction with some of these materials. Just give it obviously refresh and update. And then you also in the renderings, you'll notice we're providing some seating in the back, some 2 tops that would be for sort of informal and dining. This is a bench system would do sort of a gateway to this new space. So the second remark, most of the stuff on the planting in the packet also as I've seen on page 4 is our plant list. We really want this to be year-round skeleton to it. So there is an evergreen body to the whole project, but then also a lot of summer flowers. So between the introduction of a few flowering trees, prairie myrtle, beautiful July and August flowering. Stewardia is a beautiful flower and a fragrance, which is really special. I think it's going to be a really neat addition to the space. And then the remainder of the plant list is material that is relatively frequently used throughout the area. Let's have a nice seasonal sequence of blooms throughout 4 seasons. Those opportunities for some annuals, for some real pop of summer color. So those are the plans. I think the renderings really speak a little bit. Thank you. Interest spaces. I will hand out a few versions in case it's difficult to see. These are the rendering packet along with plant material as well.
Thank you.
So this is first image would be looking from the parking lot, looking at the corner of Eastman Way to the left. So you can see the introduction. So these beautiful, architectural detail of the windows, as Mr. Rice mentioned, sort of being lower and boxed forward. A low planting curb, just to give a real minimal planting against the building, but softening up the space considerably. The windows, the awnings, plant material accents at the door. Really needed, and we didn't want any. We kind of didn't feel there was any need for passive use, benches, etc. In these new ways, just made that be more of a circulation than a destination. This would be the other view from the parking lot, looking to the right of Building A. So parking lot, you can see that brick pattern, anticipating on the side of this building. That's the corporate building back there, if that helps orient you. There's the right side of this building being cordoned off with sort of low planters and being a wet use space. You can just see repetition of the window detail and the awnings. But then while maintaining a circulation course through a circumnavigate the entire building. And then sort of we feel is really the most exciting spot is really the space between building, so this is the back of Building A. This is the back of the bookstore here. With the corporate building in the back, so our back is effectively at the Starbucks building looking down Eastman Way. So really feel this, as a landscape architect, is the spot that gets me most excited. We're trees on either side, which would be the store, which can have that fragrance. I think it's just going to be a really neat element added to it. We're looking at this custom bench detail that kind of provides the scaling into the space with some light use, 2 top tables as needed, great myrtle trees, softening up the back of the architecture of that building. So instead of having this feel like it's sort of this forgotten, back of building space, really energize it and really make it something that can really, from your morning coffee up to an ice cream at night, really has a really nice span of use opportunity. With that lighting, as Mr. Rice mentioned as well, I think will just be subtle enough to obviously make it feel safe and a nice place to be in the evening without being overly aggressive or taking away from enjoying the stars as well. Happy to answer any further questions, but
Thank you.
Doesn't
Thank
look
you.
like the same building.
all right.
I have a couple of questions. Just I don't know if Mr. Rice is the best person to answer them, and this might just be a rendering thing, but the shingles you're using are white.
Yes.
Okay, so because this rendering looks more natural
Yes,
shingles,
it's
but
the white.
okay, but it's the white.
That's the way
Could we speak closer to the microphone?
program showing a
The
nighttime.
microphone,
Excuse
if you could just step forward.
Showing a nighttime view in this rendering program, it shows shadow as color.
It's
but it
Revit?
should-
Is it Revit or SketchUp?
No, that's
SketchUp.
SketchUp.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm familiar with the limitations of SketchUp. Okay,
So
great.
this
That's
would be a
helpful.
closer articulation of what it would
Right.
look like. But
Okay.
this is the actual material we're
Okay,
focusing.
and then there was a little bit of discussion, just this look, it's beautiful what you've designed, but the bay windows, for instance, are a little more modern than some of the more historic looking buildings. And you mentioned that you looked at historic storefronts in the village as inspiration to come up with the design. Maybe it would help us understand. Can you talk just more specifically about what
Yes.
your inspiration was and
Yes, of
how
course.
you worked with the historic buildings?
I've looked at various buildings, including The hardware store in Southampton is a great example of architecture from that period that uses this kind of bay window. This is Hildress,
Right.
the seal board right down to the base, pretty much to the base. Small brackets at the bottom with a thin pilaster reading on the corners. I think what we're trying to do here is to repeat the proportions and to a certain extent the detailing of the historic use of wood to frame a storefront, protruding storefront. The preference is to have this all wood, all painted wood, with real divided glass at the top, real divided glass down here with these, and to have a certain amount of detail in the facade, similar to what's on the library building in East Hampton,
Right.
with the extension to the library. Those lovely bracketed windows. That's more ornate. It's a civic building. It goes to a different level.
Lawrence
Yes.
is the architect, yes.
Correct. And the architect of a number of significant beach houses in this town
Yes.
also. Not trained as an architect, but a builder. He knew how things were put together, and he expressed that with his detailing. So that's really where we're going. We're reinterpreting, we're not copying, but we don't want to make it look modern. This is a 1970s building. And eventually we hope there might be some redefinition of the roof in order to reposition some mechanical equipment on the roof that is not part of this application now. So eventually we think that we want to bring this building up to date to the extent that it speaks to the other buildings in East Hampton. So we don't want to go modern, we want to reinterpret.
And it does look that way. It does. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Any other questions? Billy, Tom, any questions, or, no? Okay.
Can I ask what the existing tenants that are here, are they, what happens to Con Sport and Warren Jacome, and are you,
So we're talking to all of them. I think we need to make some room for wet use, because I think that is part of the reason we're doing this, because we need to add a little bit of life at night. And so we're working through that. Morley Quattrochi, who's here, who runs the project and the building and has for a number of years for us, and I are talking to tenants to try and figure that out. There will be some movement of tenants. Some are too big, and I think they acknowledge that. So I think what we need to do is rework, and as I said earlier, recurate sort of what the look will be at the end of the day. And evolve is probably the best way to put it. I think it's too early to say these folks are in. We're talking to some wet use tenants right now. I think we need those as anchors initially, and once we know that, there's kind of a cascading effect of sort of, there's only 6,000 feet in the building, how it will play through. Some have said, we like this space, but we want an alternative space. And we're saying we can't hold you up. You can go and look elsewhere in the town. But ideally we would love everyone to stay. But I think realistically, it's going to be tough to have everyone stay.
is there wet use in this building already? No.
No.
Can I ask you what type of wet use? I know we have Tuto and Starbucks in proximity. Would it be a coffee shop or something different?
You could do a coffee shop. You could do. When COVID happened and growing up, there was Ben and Jerry's here. I've always thought ice cream should be a big part of the town. You have the parking lot. You go to the movies. So something in this area, ice cream centric, I think makes sense. And then other. This is all 16 seats, so smallish. It could be grab and go. We had Amber Waves there this year, so you could have the next iteration of that and so on. But I think of 16-seat restaurant. The approach we take is approachable. A long time ago when Starbucks came to town, everyone said, "Oh my God, Starbucks!" But it is a national brand, but it's approachable, and you'll see folks going to work who at 6 in the morning are grabbing their coffee, and folks who day trip out here, and local folks, and so we want to try and sort of curate it in a way that it's not super high end and fancy, but approachable. That's kind of a theme I think we've mandated for the team.
Well, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. The other item is the 30 Park Place for the painting of the building is,
Here's an actual, I don't think anyone's here for that application, but here's the actual color.
so we're going from a tan color to a simple decorator white, and my own opinion is, I think it's a much more positive look on the building as opposed to the tan. It's all going to be white. The facade is white, and board members, any problem with that, or what do we see, the rest of the building
I
is simple?
agree.
I agree with it.
All one
Yeah.
color.
So I think it should be all white, the decorator white, and do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, this concludes our agenda for today. Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have that motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Cheryl, thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. See you at the next